Footsteps echo in the hollow night. Street lights flicker like they're scared of the fight. In my chest, a fire. No peace to find, the beast inside it claws my mind. Crimson shadows dance in my head. A thousand screams, the words left unsaid. I walk the line where the living dread. One step closer, the hunger's fed. Mirror cracked, my reflection's alive. Eyes like razors cutting the sky. Fingers twitching, my hands are tied. But the urge is a flood I can't deny. Crimson shadows dance in my head. A thousand screams, the words left unsaid. I walk the line where the living dread. One step closer, the hunger's fed. Whispers crawl like snakes in my brain. Every heartbeat pounding like rain. Is it madness or just my chain? The desire rises, sweet and insane. Crimson shadows dance in my head. A thousand screams, the words left unsaid. I walk the line where the living tread. One step closer, the hunger's fed.
All right. Happy Saturday to you all. My name is 12 Gauge, and I will be your host. And this is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. Thank you so much for joining me on this day. You know, I started doing this case yesterday a little bit, deep diving into the latest. The young lady's name was Anna Kepner, and she reportedly shared a bedroom with her stepbrother, who is now a prime suspect in her murder. If you haven't been versed on this case, please go back into the library and check out yesterday's live. I did do a recent update on this case, and I was going to finish it up today and let you guys know exactly what we're talking about regarding this case. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. Anna Kepner, my bad. Kepner was a young lady. She was 18 years old, and she was about to graduate high school. And she went on a cruise ship with her mother, her stepmother, her father, and her two step siblings. And she never came back. So, like I said, if you're not versed on this case, it might be a good idea to get versed on this case, because this case is just full of twists and turns and everything in between. So let's get back to where we were talking about yesterday, about the obsession that her stepbrother had for this young woman. Thank you for you guys joining me today. I hope you enjoy the presentation. Here we go.
family dynamics, and our instincts are to protect each other, to protect our own, but at the same time we're dealing with a deceased teenage girl. And so I think all of that complicates things, because we don't know what kind of frantic flurry of conversation was going on in the immediate aftermath of them discovering that she was missing, and then shortly thereafter discovering her body.
Yeah, and what I was going to say earlier is just that when you have, minor children and any children really involved in an investigation like this, you have, a forensic interview that's done of these kids so that you can find out what they know, what they saw, and also, these people are trained to kind of tell if they have been coached, and so that they can get to the truth behind the case. They're not always right. Most of the time in my cases, I'm going to tell you they're wrong.
Let me ask you, can the parents step in and prevent them from speaking and cooperating?
I guess they can. I don't know the answer to that, Allie. Anybody? Do y'all know I think they can. They're not under subpoena.
So just to give you a rundown, what ended up happening was the 16-year-old and the younger brother in the Nirvana shirt were sharing the room with Anna Kepner, the 18-year-old. They supposedly had bunk beds. She had her own bed. Well, they all went back into the room after docking. Went back into the room. The younger brother in the Nirvana shirt, the 14-year-old, changed because he was going to go take some snapshots of the boat. So he leaves the 16-year-old stepbrother, with his biological sister. He comes back. He hears yelling, screaming, furniture being tossed around, and the older stepbrother tells him to leave. So he leaves. He comes back, doesn't notice his sister anywhere around. He figures that she went off with the adults and is none the wiser. They both go to bed. The next day, Anna doesn't come down to breakfast. Stepmother gets alerted. Father gets concerned. They start looking around the ship. A cleaning lady finds Anna Kepner wrapped in a blanket under the bed, naked, hidden by life jackets. So the 16-year-old stepbrother was the only one in the room with her that saw her last. He is currently living with a third-party relative. After this happened, he supposedly went into a hospital and was released to the third party. He is not able to be around the other siblings for whatever reason we're yet to have been told.
Yeah.
But do so at your own risk, because then doesn't it look like you're obstructing the investigation into your other deceased child? I mean, these people are in a difficult spot.
There could be mixed loyalties here, Carmen, because
Sure.
Mom has two children. One of her children could be a witness against her other child.
Mm-hmm.
You probably don't want him to testify against his brother, like whether the impact is putting his brother away in prison for potentially life, or just putting him through that whole process. So can a parent step up and say, my child's not talking?
Absolutely. And look, if it was my 16-year-old kid, I wouldn't have him talking to law enforcement without a lawyer.
How about the 14? How about the younger brother, the witness, not the defendant?
Absolutely the same. And in these types of family proceedings, when there is an ancillary criminal matter, oftentimes they will appoint a lawyer for the minor child to ensure that their rights are protected, depending on what's going on. And so I wouldn't be giving statements on, with these children. I wouldn't allow them to give statements if I was the parent. And I certainly wouldn't do it without a lawyer and consulting with them ahead of time. Because as you said, I'm worried about all my kids, not just the 16-year-old. Depending on what's going on. And certainly we don't know, the parents don't know, whatever happened inside that little room with these three kids in the room at the time. Yeah. Nobody knows who the finger is going to end up pointing at.
And the other thing is, with mom and dad going at it in court for custody, which parent makes the decision on whether or not they're talking? That's another issue. Okay, think tank staying with us. This case is extremely layered, extremely complicated. When we come back, Anna Kepner's mother is now speaking out. She wasn't on the boat. That was her stepmom that was on the ship. Her mom is speaking out. Plus, coming up next hour.
So this is all a lot of information that's being divulged about this case, but there's still so much secrecy. Can you imagine your 14-year-old knowing what he knows? And I'm gonna show some TikToks here in a little bit after this is complete, where the uncle shares his theory on what happened to his niece. So we'll continue on. I'm gonna tell you this case is blowing up. And if you have not really invested time in this and you're really into true crime, this is one of those cases you might want to learn about.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates a beloved Tennessee nursing student disappears into the morning woods, and years later, a conviction still leaves unanswered questions. Did investigators truly uncover every piece of the puzzle, or is the Holly Bobo story still hiding secrets? Tonight, we investigate.
You have to punish him. You have to kill him for a few $100.
You don't touch fire and expect not to get burned. My goal is to embarrass you. My goal is to
Death aboard the Carnival Horizon. That is so sad. This story is so incredibly tragic because everything we're learning about Anna Kepner is nothing but positive, positive, positive. But there was some, a little bit of chaos.
Oh, my condolences to you, Lenora. I am so sorry to hear that. My condolences to you and your family. And PKC, I totally understand it. You guys don't feel obligated one bit, okay? I was just saying that for anybody else who hasn't been following this case. You know what I mean? My condolences to you and your family, Lenora.
Surrounding her in her life, but she was so focused. I want to bring back in Cody Thomas, field reporter, Core TV, and we're learning some new information now, some new reporting from Inside Edition.
Yeah, fresh into the newsroom, Vinny. So Anna Kepner's ex-boyfriend's father did an interview with
Anna's ex-boyfriend's father. Gotcha.
Did an interview with Inside Edition talking about the dynamic that he witnessed. So he said this 16-year-old stepbrother was obsessed with Anna. He also spoke about his son, which would have been Anna's ex-boyfriend.
Right.
Realizing this obsession, this ex-boyfriend was on a FaceTime with Anna at one time at night. Anna had fallen asleep. You know, young kids get on FaceTime. Let's watch each other go to sleep, just being like cute fairy tale love story. He says as he was witnessing Anna's sleep, he saw the suspect, this stepbrother, climb on top of her. Very weird. Very weird as she's sleeping. The father of the ex-boyfriend also reports that Anna was very scared of him, that she told the parents.
Okay, now we're getting some more information about this stepbrother. Now, if that is true, is that not some interesting dynamics there? The obsession with this young woman by the 16-year-old. And as they just stated, she was afraid of the 16-year-old. You know what I mean? That is some interesting dynamics there.
That she was scared of him, and that this kid also carried around a big knife. This is all fresh in the newsroom right now.
Oh, Jesus. So she was deathly afraid of her stepbrother who carried around a large bladed knife. Oh, God.
Can you get a knife? I don't know if you can get a knife. I guess you could get a knife on a cruise. I've never been on a cruise. Is there a metal detector?
I
have no idea. I have no idea. Okay.
But not to say that knife was on the cruise.
No, but I'm trying to think of the potential. So Anna Kepner, there's some tension between her and her 16-year-old stepbrother, and it's because he's a boy, she's a girl, kind of.
And then, that leaves open the question, she told the parents, if the parents ignored it, if that's true.
If that's true, and she told her parents that she felt this way, yet they still were sharing a cabinet.
Right.
That's insanity. Insanity.
All according to Inside Edition, the ex-boyfriend's father.
So, I don't know how you feel about this, but you hear this dynamic happening so much in blended families. And in 2025, for some reason, there is a misconception that stepbrother, stepsister, stepmom, stepdad, that because they're that's not really looked at as incest, like we've always looked at it in the past. This 16-year-old was obsessed with this young woman. She was deathly afraid of him. He carried around a knife. What could have been happening those last moments of her life in there with him by herself? I'm sure we're going to find out.
Other did this interview.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about Anna's mom. She's speaking out also.
Yeah, she spoke to WESH 2 down in Central Florida. She shared a little bit about what Anna was like and also how she learned that her daughter had died. This is Anna's biological mother. Take a listen to this.
She always wanted to make people laugh. She loved the water. We were constantly going to the lake here where I live. So she'd go swimming. I found out through Google because I ended up Googling it because all the information the only information I had was my daughter was on a cruise.
Finding out your daughter is dead through a Google search. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
We don't know.
That is some shit right there. Excuse my language, but finding out your daughter is dead through a Google search, this just gets more traumatic. More traumatic. You know, it just terrible all the way around. How can you ever be okay with this individual living in your home and him killing your daughter? If you were the dad, how would you not want to put hands on this person? How could he have not wanted to hurt that child? I don't know. It takes a lot of restraint. But to find out that this was the last person in the room and you're not, and now he's the suspect to killing your daughter. I don't know about y'all, but it'd take a lot of restraint to keep me from putting my hands on this 16-year-old.
Obviously, the history here of the family, but at the end of the day, that's the mother of someone who's dead,
and that's the way you're finding it out.
Find it on Google. That's not a good.
She also she went on TikTok and posted about it with this caption here. It says, "My beautiful baby girl was found dead Friday, and I just found out last night. Her dad and stepmom didn't even try to contact me. So I'm gonna give that to God and let him sort it out, along with whoever did this to my baby girl. Anna Marie, I miss you so much. You have no idea how shattered I am over this. Please forgive me for not being there. I'm so sorry." So again, Benny, to your point, we don't know what this situation was, the relationship was there, but of course, your daughter's still dead.
Yeah, it's her daughter. She's not the custodial mother. She didn't have custody. Dad had custody, so it's always, there's something going on. My dad would have custody. But at the end of the day, that's her daughter, and no one is telling her what happened. Okay. Cody, thanks so much for that late-breaking stuff as well. Let's bring back in our think tank comment.
How the hell could you learn of your daughter being killed in a Google search? Yeah. They shouldn't have been bunking in the same room. She was deathly afraid of him. She let her parents know. And still they kind of shrugged it off like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. This case just infuriates me on so many levels. I mean, I didn't think that I would be emotionally involved in this case, but just listening to all this stuff, it's horrific. There's so many people that tell people about certain things. They shrug it off. Kind of like the 20-year-old that got killed by her coworker. She reported it to her bosses and to HR, and they just shrugged it off. Just stay away from him. And she ended up losing her life because he threw a shot, she rejected him, and he killed her. This is just terrible, man. This is just terrible.
Monroe, Ali Benevento, Lori Murray. Lori, this is extremely troubling, this reporting from Inside Edition. If there was any indication that there was something that made Anna uncomfortable to be around her 16-year-old stepbrother, if he was, in fact, obsessed with her, and then they're placed in the same room on a ship, to me, that now calls a lot of things into question here, Lori.
I think it does call a lot of things into question, and it specifically calls into question that family court hearing where they're calling her an unfit mother. But what I have to think also is that if this ex-boyfriend did witness that, and then he told Anna about it, which of course he would tell her about it, or she might have woken up when somebody's on top of her. Surely that was reported to these parents. Surely it was. And maybe they thought that because they're putting the younger brother in there that he would act as a chaperone. I don't know. I can't imagine. As a mother, I am hesitant about putting my own 2 biological kids together in the same cabin or space. This is just wrong on so many levels. And unfortunately, it set the scene and gave the opportunity, if this is in fact how she died, it gave the opportunity, and they're going to have to live with that. And I really am also going to be.
How do y'all feel about that, chat? How do y'all feel? Does this infuriate you as well? Would you have done the same thing had you been in that same situation? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the replay if you would have ever let this scenario go down with anybody that is your child, stepchild, cousins, anything like that.
Very curious to see if these 2 lovebirds make it through this. I can't imagine being with someone whose child killed my child. I can't imagine that. How they're still even putting up a united front is beyond me.
Yeah. Carmen?
Horrible judgment.
Yeah. Carmen, I wanted to ask you about liability here, right? The way we look at this, like if there's some level of writing on the wall, is there any potential liability for the parents for creating this situation and this?
And I spoke of that yesterday. The parents should be liable on some accord. The parents should be liable, in my opinion, on some accord, especially with prior knowledge of the 18-year-old's fear for the younger child. That is negligence on so many levels. But really, what could they have done? I mean, you have to look at this regarding the law, not with emotion. You would believe that they would be negligent on so many regards, but really, does the law protect this situation, or are they going to be held accountable? Are they going to be held accountable?
Sort of setup. Now, I'm sure their intentions were great, a family cruise, etc. But if there is actual knowledge of Anna being not comfortable with the 16-year-old stepbrother, is there some sort of obligation on behalf of the parents here? And is there some liability for what happened?
Vinny, that's a great question. It's really interesting, especially in the climate we're in, where we're charging parents all over the country with various offenses associated with the actions of their children in a way we've never done before. So it's a really great question. And I think it's going to come down to what sort of things that they knew about how dangerous this was. I mean, you start talking about a large knife, you're talking about, being really inappropriate with a young teenage girl. It's like, what did they know? Should they have taken action? And did they ignore these indications either from her directly or from other siblings who suggest?
There's no way I could be with the mom. I'd be like, I love you, but your kid killed my daughter. We can't go on. We can't go on with this. I don't know how y'all feel about this. I know I'm emotionally speaking right now, but this is just so sad on so many levels. And there's so many people that dropped the ball on this. And this young woman who had just started her life was going to join the military and is no longer with us because of so many people dropping the ball on her behalf. How many times do people drop the ball and some young person who had just starting their lives suffered the consequences for it?
suggested that there was a problem. So that's a really interesting question that I think we may see and hear a little bit more about exactly what they knew now that this is just coming out. But it certainly provides a motive, and it tells you something that I thought when I heard this story is that, wrapping this girl up in a blanket, covering her up with flotation devices or whatever, all of that speaks to the relationship between the person who killed her and her body being in that room. I don't think it was just hiding her. I think it was, covering her up in a way that suggested a relationship, which is interesting with this new information.
Yes, this is this man's third marriage. His third marriage. It just seems like neglect on so many levels. And I'm not trying to keep harping on that. But at some point, there needs to be some accountability. There needs to be some accountability on the parent's part. Hell, he lost his daughter on a cruise ship. So you're telling me from the time that those kids went into that room to the next morning, these parents didn't check on them one time. There's not one time that these parents came by that room, knocked on that door before they went to bed, and made sure everybody was okay. They didn't notice she was missing till the next morning. And there's so many people that get outraged at another crime that occurred that they didn't notice till 8 hours later. So you're telling me that these parents didn't know their daughter was in a bad situation until the next morning. That is just wild. I take young adults on vacation with me. They're my family. I'd be damned if I'd be so caught up in my stuff that I would not be checking on them at least every hour, every 2 hours max. Or they'd be right there with me until they were fixing to go to bed. Especially on a damn cruise ship. And I can see where people are going to be like, well, they're on a cruise ship. What kind of trouble could they get into? They're not going anywhere. What are the odds of them getting, kidnapped and all this other stuff? But there's so many people on that cruise ship. There's so many things that could go wrong. And this is one of those things. And it happened within their own family dynamic.
Well, and also, she went back to that cabin sick, and perhaps she was in bed, and perhaps she was laying down, and perhaps, again, he decided to climb on top of her, and that got out of hand when she fought back. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios that we can play through here, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what facts continue to come out. I want to know more. And it's frustrating for me with this FBI investigation that we don't hear more and we won't hear it sooner. But I can absolutely see that happening. And if that's the case, and it was reported to these parents before, just another strike against them as parenting.
That's a great thought right there, Lenore. That's a great thought. Especially since she left dinner, said she didn't feel well. You would think Dad would have checked on her. Yes, 150%. You would think that he would have went and checked on her or something. Bunk arrangements were just weird. In my opinion, it should have been either females in one room, males in the other, or biological together. I agree 150%. I agree. Never have I heard this kind of scenario. And maybe they assumed that since she was 18, that, she would be watching the younger two. But still, that's putting so much responsibility on someone who just needs supervision themselves. You know what I mean?
Or their parenting skills.
Yeah, and again, this is all coming from Inside Edition. We have not obviously done the interviews ourselves. They have done the interviews, but we've been listening to them. All right, everyone's staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about another case, another child. This one is missing. Melody Buzzer is still missing. Her mother, Ashley, was in court today, and the judge made a huge decision today. All the details next.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there because I don't want to intermingle two cases at once. I am going to load up the TikTok so I can show you the uncle's statement on one of the people that he posted this on his Facebook. But this was I saw this on TikTok last night. It's just so freaking annoying and sad at the same time. Because it makes you angry. If it doesn't make you angry, I don't know what would. I really don't. I really don't. Because how can you hear about this story and then not hit a button with you? You get what I'm saying? Let me see if I can find this. I know I saved it. But y'all know as well as I do, I'm not always the best at finding these things. But I know it's on. While I have this on, let me show you something I did find that has to pertain to another case. This was supposedly leaked, and this was supposedly the bloody shoe print outside of Dylan's bedroom. So while I'm looking for that other article, I want you to take a look at that. This was supposedly the bloody footprint outside of Dylan's bedroom. The latent shoe print. Do you see that? Okay, I found it. Not on TikTok, but I found it on Facebook. And here it is. That is supposed to be the latent shoe print. Allegedly a leaked photo of the bloody shoe print outside of Dylan's bedroom. Isn't that cool? I mean, not cool, but I mean, it's interesting that there it is. There's the latent shoe print. And I tell you, TikTok, they got a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't even see on YouTube. You see all kinds of photos and stuff that you never see on YouTube. Look at that. Look at that latent shoe print, though. And we were told that it had the little nobules things right there that were kind of diamond shaped. That is exactly what you see. And that looks like about a size 13, if you ask me. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? That is pretty awesome, huh? Let me get to what I'm working on here with you guys. This is from her uncle's Facebook, or he posted this on X. And let me see what it says. It says, in the Anna Kepner murder case, a man claiming to be her uncle made a post on X claiming that she had been on the cruise ship with her dad, stepmom, and some other family members, that allegedly her stepbrother, her stepmom's son, is the one responsible for her death. He states that the stepbrother killed her, stuffed her naked and beaten body in a sheet, put her under the bed, and covered her with life jackets. He then allegedly slept on the bed like nothing happened. This man states he is sickened that her father has remained silent. See the screenshot. If this is true, I'm wondering if an arrest has been made yet, and if it isn't, that's a pretty wild and outrageous accusation to make against an innocent person. And there's the backstory. The FBI has opened an investigation after a passenger identified as 18-year-old Anna Kepner was found dead aboard the Carnival Horizon cruise ship, which returned to Port Miami on Saturday morning following a Caribbean voyage with nearly 4,000 guests on board. Investigators were seen removing a body from the ship and transferring it to Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's office. Authorities have not publicly released the cause of death, but we know now that it was due to asphyxiation, and there was also bruising on her neck. So this is her uncle's X page, and that's what he wrote on that. So that is wild, to say the least. And as you see, I got Facebook also, so yeah. So what do y'all think about everything that I've presented so far today? He said this buffering is getting annoying. I just got caught up and then it buffers for 30 seconds, getting me behind again. I understand that. I'm going to screenshot this and put it on YouTube, because I think this photo is extremely interesting, to say the least. All right, so I tell you, this Anna Kepner case is gonna get really intense. It really is. I don't know why I made my screen so small. Like, my screen on StreamYard is really tiny. I don't know how it did that. But I wanted to finish this up for anybody that was here yesterday to be able to check out the latest information And let me see if there's anything else that's been released other than what I just showed. I really don't see anything yet, but I will keep you updated. Or let me play this right quick. I hope Inside Edition is pretty cool with people sharing their stuff. If not, then it might go black. If so, don't run away. But here's Inside Edition's story with the ex-boyfriend.
It's about Anna Kepner, the 18-year-old high school cheerleader who was found dead on a cruise ship. It's being reported she died of asphyxiation after an arm was held against her neck. This all comes as we speak with Anna's ex-boyfriend, who says loud screams and chairs being thrown were heard inside Anna's cabin before her naked body was found shoved under a bed.
So if we're understanding correctly, these screams and this chair being thrown, and she wasn't found for what? I would say at least 8 to 10 hours later, the next morning or more. I mean, that's really horrific on so many levels. So many levels.
Ann Mercogliano has the latest.
Was 18-year-old cheerleader Anna Kepner strangled to death aboard the cruise ship? ABC News reports that Anna died from asphyxiation. She was strangled with a bar hold using an arm across her neck. She was not sexually assaulted, and there were no signs of drugs or alcohol.
He would bring you home.
Hours before she was found dead on the cruise ship, the sound of a violent confrontation reportedly could be heard inside her stateroom. We're told Anna's 14-year-old brother Connor says he tried to get into the stateroom that he, Anna, and their 16-year-old stepbrother were sharing, but that it was locked. Anna and the stepbrother were still inside, and Connor reportedly says he could hear disturbing sounds through the door.
So wouldn't you think the other brother, the 14-year-old, would ask the 16-year-old, "What are you doing sleeping on Anna's bed? And where is Anna? And why hasn't she came back?" Wouldn't you think some of these questions would be asked? I believe they would be, don't you? I mean, maybe that's just an adult mindset because, 14 years old, you really don't have that mentality to ask these certain questions, even though a lot of people are probably going to say, well, that kid should have known better. That kid should have known this. That kid should have known that. But in reality, at 14 years old, I'm pretty certain that kid probably didn't know what was going on or everything else that was happening in that room. It's just sad. It's just sad that so much of this stuff happened without little to no knowledge from the adults that were supposed to be keeping these kids safe. What do y'all think about this? I mean, I really want to know because y'all have shared your opinions on this, and I respect each and every one of you's opinion, even if you don't agree with mine. But the truth of the matter is, they should have checked on this girl. They should have checked on her because she was sick. Because there's two boys. Did you see how the bedroom was set up? The big bed was on one side, the bunk beds were on the other. So, yeah. Yeah, we don't know what was told, what was said.
Anna's ex-boyfriend says he spoke to the cheerleader's brother about what happened that night.
You heard him yelling at her, like in a harmful way of like, shut the hell up and stuff like that. And that's when Connor knew something was going on.
And there was screaming going on.
Yes, ma'am. Like something was like banging around and stuff, and like the chairs were getting thrown around in the room.
Anna's ex.
I just hope that Connor doesn't get the same type treatment that Dylan got. You know what I mean? that people don't start attacking the 14-year-old saying he should have went and got help. Why didn't he go get the mom and dad if he knew this stuff was going on? How come he didn't go get help? How come he didn't try to get involved? Because you and I know how the true crime community is. And I hope they don't get a hold of this case, certain creators, because they're just going to be pieces of shit about it, just like they have been on other cases.
Joshua, too, spoke with Inside Edition following her funeral at a church outside Orlando. He says that Anna was so afraid of her stepbrother that she frequently slept over at her friends' homes.
She just didn't feel safe around him.
Joshua says the 16-year-old stepbrother, who is now under suspicion in Anna's death, was sexually harassing her. He says he once saw him trying to climb into bed with her.
She's scared to tell anybody because she was scared that he would do something to her.
The FBI is investigating Anna's death because it happened in international waters. There was a tense atmosphere at Anna's funeral last night. Anna's biological mother told Inside Edition she was banned from attending but snuck in wearing a wig. Mourners were told to dress in bright colors to reflect Anna's bubbly personality.
It's been pretty hard. She was
Oh, Jesus. I can only imagine. I can only imagine what type of stuff is going to be said about this case from certain people. They're going to bring drugs into it. They're going to bring criminal aspects into it. They're going to bring all kinds of stuff that has no real attachment to this. I want to say right now they have said that there was no drugs or alcohol in Anna's system. Supposedly the 16-year-old had been drinking, but there's been no viable report from police or the FBI on that whatsoever. So as far as we know, we don't know much about that aspect.
my first love. She was the greatest thing ever.
That is terrible. That is terrible. I guess we're going to try one more. I'm scared. I'm so gun shy when it comes to these sharing of these news articles because of the other day. I mean, I thought Law and Crime was cool with sharing their stuff, but obviously not. Yeah, exactly. This is Anna Kepner's biological mother is speaking out.
Tried to contact me at all whatsoever to let me know that my daughter died. I found out because I live in Oklahoma, and my youngest son goes to school with a good friend of mine's nephew, and he told her nephew that his sister was murdered on a cruise ship. So I got a text message saying, "Hey, is Anna on a cruise? And you need to find out right away and call me." And I was like, "What?" So I called Anna's cell phone. She didn't answer. So then I got a hold of her on TikTok. Well, tried to get a hold of her on TikTok. She still didn't answer. So I started questioning, why is she asking me about that? So I got on my ex-husband's Facebook where there was nothing on there. So I got on to Tabby, his second wife's Facebook, as the woman that raised my daughter. And there I seen a picture of her car with flowers on it. And
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being the biological mother? Another case of another biological mother having to find out about the death of their child in a way that nobody should have to find out about their child being dead. Can you imagine? This is just disturbing on so many levels. I mean, so there's a lot of people that say, well, this certain case is one way and this certain case is another. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it seems like all these cases, there's so many dynamics that play a role in these, where there's a stepmother, there's a mother, there's a stepdad, there's a dad, there's all this stuff. And there's so many people involved when somebody that is so young goes to be deceased.
They say now they're going to leave it at the high school for a short time as a memorial for Anna. And so that's when I Googled 18-year-old dies on cruise ship is what I put in the search bar. And that's when my daughter's face popped up all over Google.
I cannot even imagine. Yeah, I just, honest to God, I cannot even imagine finding out about your daughter's death by Googling and not getting a call. And to make matters worse, there was a celebration of life.
I mean, they didn't even want the mother to be at the celebration of life. How freaking wrong is that? I mean, it's like these people, they want to dictate so many things regarding when these children go missing or dying. It's almost like you're the biological mom, but you can't do this or you can't do that. What do y'all think?
Not sure if it was a full-fledged funeral, but there was some kind of memorial held yesterday, and I'm told that you were banned, that your ex-husband banned you from going. Can you walk me through what happened and what the circumstances were?
He told me that when I told him I was coming down there, he said that that he knew for a fact that Anna would not want me there. And I said, that's a lie. I was like, but whatever. And he goes, if you step foot in Florida, I will have you arrested immediately for back child support.
And so you went anyway.
That is so crappy, man. That is so crappy. I'll have you arrested for back child support, and you're trying to attend your daughter's celebration of life. I'm not picking sides here, but that is just crappy behavior. That is just crappy behavior, y'all. Tell me what you think. Y'all agree with me? What is wrong with people? You're right. What is wrong with people? That's her little girl.
Right? In disguise?
Yeah. I wore a wig and I wore some really tall high heels, so that way, you know, if he was looking for somebody short, he wouldn't see me.
And
like
were you
mama.
able to attend the funeral? Did anyone see you or spot you? Like, tell me what happened next when you got there.
Nobody spotted me. I kind of stayed in the back, close to the door, so if I needed to make a quick getaway, I could. It was really nice. They had a lot of pictures of my daughter. I didn't see her dad, but then again, I wasn't trying to either. I stayed for a little bit, but I didn't stay for the whole thing.
That is terrible. You have to attend your daughter's funeral in disguise so people don't. Oh, God. This poor woman. Heather, if you're hearing this, feel free to come on my platform to speak on your behalf. I'd be more than welcome to have you on. So anybody that's watching this in the near future that knows about the mother, let her know she has a platform to speak if she wants. This is just terrible.
My anxiety got too high and I had to go.
And what? Tell me a little bit about the funeral. What was said about Anna at the funeral?
They just talked about how she was a great kid and she did really well in school. She wanted to join the military. She had her boating license before she was able to get her driver's license.
Do you know anything about the suspect in this case? And I say suspect not because police have said it. It's the 16-year-old stepbrother. Do you know anything about the stepbrother and the dynamic between Anna and him?
No, because I didn't even know that Tabitha and Christopher had gotten a divorce. I didn't even know he remarried. Like I said, Christopher and I do not talk whatsoever.
Wow. Wow. This poor woman. Wow, is all I can say. I don't know what else to say. This case is something.
And he made it extremely difficult for me to even have a relationship with my daughter. And the last time I seen my daughter, he again made me look like a piece of shit. So when I was getting on the airplane, I flicked him off and called him a few choice words I probably shouldn't have. And he told my daughter that I was telling her that. I was talking to her. So at that point, Anna kind of stopped talking to me. So I'd call her on her birthday and holiday. That's about it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
Why would parents use their kids against each other? I've never understood that. I've never understood that, and I'll never understand that. How comes when you have issues with one of the parents, I just don't, I don't get it. So if you've been watching this, let me update you with exactly what we just presented. Anna Kepner died of asphyxiation, a chokehold applied by somebody. She had bruises on her neck. She was found nude, wrapped up in a blanket sheet under the bed, found by the cleaning crew. The next morning, the stepbrother slept on her bed overnight. The 14-year-old brother slept in one of the bunk beds. The biological mom was not allowed at the memorial, threatened by the biological dad. She had to disguise herself to be able to attend her own daughter's funeral. And that's where we're at this point. Wow. Thank you so much for being here today. And if you watch this on replay, please let me know what you think about this case, because it's not going away. It's only going to get worse, in my opinion. I hope that y'all have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. Stay safe out there. And you see something, say something, and say something until it changes. Because just saying something obviously is not enough to say it the first time. Make sure you follow through until it changes, because it could be a matter of life or death. These individuals knew that she was scared of this guy to the point where she would sleep over at her friend's house so she wouldn't have to sleep in the same home with him. And then she's taken on a cruise and stuck in the same room by her father and her stepmom, of someone who she had told that she was deathly afraid of this guy, and they still put her in that room. Are they negligent in your mindset? Please let me know in the comments what you think. And continue to tune into 12 Gauge Investigative for follow-ups. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there, and always watch your six. Once again, my name is 12 Gauge. I am your host, and this is 12 Gauge Investigative. See you soon.